And welcome to today's episode where we are going to learn how to compare ourselves to other people in the friendliest way possible.
Amen.
Okay, I wanted to start like that because you know how there is this very common, very well known saying that goes a little something like comparison is the thief of what? Put it in the comments. Comparison is the thief of all
blank.
And I'll give you a hint. It's a 3-letter word and it starts with J and it ends with Y and the middle letter is O.
Mm-hmm.
Comparison is the thief of all joy. And today, I would like to debunk that saying. Now, there is truth to that saying, but it depends on your perspective and how you use comparison. Because the reality is, we all compare ourselves. Reality. I don't know if there's any escaping it. I don't know if that's humanly possible because we use comparison as a measuring stick. Yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly.
To say, where are you versus where am I? What are you capable of versus what am I capable of? What do you have in your life versus what do I have in my life? How much money do you have versus how much money do I have? How good is your relationship with your spouse versus how good is my relationship with my spouse? It's a measuring stick. Where am I at in life? How good am I doing? Or how shitty am I doing? So that's like the most blunt way that I could say that in unfiltered words. And so I do want to teach you, since comparison is something that I personally cannot fathom how we can that it's humanly possible to escape. Why don't we find a productive way to use comparison?
Mm-hmm.
You guys good for it?
Let's go. So let's just dive deeper with regards to the concept of measuring stick. By the way, good morning, everybody. Great to be with you today.
Or afternoon or dinner time, or take your kids to soccer, wherever you're at in your van.
If this happens to be your very first time in the show, what you can expect is raw, unfiltered truths about life principles and everything that comes along with our body transformation journey and the pursuit of our greatness.
Yes. Thank you. I always think, oh, you've watched this show before, when I don't know.
Yeah, so if this is your first time, drop a 1. If you've always watched this show, always is a big word, then drop an OG. We want to see where our OGs at, where our maybe first timers are at.
Always is subjective.
That's a big word.
Objective. I always mix those two up. But anywho, it's what you decide it is. And also, if it's your first time here, my name is Erin.
And my name is Sarit.
You got that. We finish each other's sandwiches.
And we are on a mission to transform the lives of millions through the same movement, nutrition, and lifestyle habits that have transformed ours. And our intention of this episode is to help you to gain another layer of awareness that will help you in the pursuit of your own body transformation. Okay, so I see OG. I see lots of
It's been a hot minute, but I'm an OG. Yeah, I think most people who are live here, I think newer people come on the replays. So welcome. If you didn't know, we do this live.
Yeah, because we like to get up close and personal with you. Yeah. Okay.
And also, if it's live, you can't edit that shit. There's no editing. No editing. This is the coolest thing that I think that I've done in as far as appearance to the show.
Mm-hmm.
And we have these really fancy chairs.
Yeah, and my mom flew to town last night, so you might.
So if you're lucky,
you might get an appearance from her today.
In 1 hour, it's very likely.
The lady mama, the heart of ENS. I will tell you that. Okay, so
some of you know her as Berta Ashkenazi.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get to it.
Okay.
So comparison is a great measuring stick. And, you know, how can we become emotional about a measuring stick? Like if you were to, I want you to think about your Thanksgiving turkey. Okay.
I'm here. I'm here for it.
It's like, you know how in all these fancy recipes, it's like, okay, use the needle thermometer or something, and when the temperature is
It's called
so
the
and
meat
so.
thermometer.
Oh, meat thermometer. Okay. I just know that that is a term of measurement that we've all used that we were not emotionally attached to. You're using it what? As a measuring stick. Oh, is the chicken ready or the turkey ready? Oh, is it not ready?
Yeah, whether it says 60 degrees or 95 degrees doesn't change our emotional state.
Yes.
Except for maybe we get more excited as it gets hotter because it's almost ready.
But what if it's too hot? Then I don't
know.
I'm not a turkey expert, but I'm bringing up this example because this is a familiar measuring stick that we keep logical. But the reality is, if something is a measuring stick, then why is it emotional?
That's a really great question.
And okay.
They might be able to hear, they might not.
Okay.
She's just talking to her whole family outside on FaceTime. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So, you know, for some reason, when it comes to the pursuit of our greatness, as a matter of fact, for those of you guys who are here with us in the chat, I would love to know, like, what are you pursuing right now? Are you pursuing weight loss? Are you pursuing, you know, getting more toned? Are you pursuing, you know, getting jacked? Like, what's your objective?
Can I say, don't be esoterical about it? Esoterical? I don't think
Like
that's a word.
everything.
Esoteric, right? Like, oh, I want to be the best version of myself. We know that. That's why you're here, and it's amazing. But what are the specific details that prove that you are being the best version of yourself? Is it, I lost 20 pounds? Is it, I dropped 5 pant sizes? Is it, I can run a mile in less than 9 minutes? Like, what are the juicy details?
Tell me about
of your objective.
Heather. I see.
I'm gonna pop some of these up here because I'm so excited.
So, you know, speaking about the measuring stick, for some reason, while it is designed to give us data, and data is just feedback. Turkey hot, turkey ready, turkey about to get burnt, turkey needs to be in the oven for 2 hours. But, you know, for some reason, when it comes to this journey, a measuring stick becomes a really emotional process. And the truth is that when it comes down to it, it's all just feedback. So the purpose of comparison should be feedback. Okay. And we all use comparison in our lives. And I share this with you so that the next time, whether you consciously remember this or not, I hope you do, just remember feedback. Feedback does not have to be emotional unless you choose to. You know, the reason why we do get emotional about it is because we're unaware about what is it actually is. So when we don't have clarity about the definition of something, our interpretation of something could be wrong, which could lead us to, you know, the wrong train of thought, the wrong path, the wrong state of mind. And, you know, like, life is a sum of everything. It is a sum of all our parts, right? It is a sum of our thoughts. It is a sum of our actions. You know, it is a sum of our habits. So, you know, like, using this tool for what it is, a tool, rather than an emotional cringe, is the first thing for us to grasp. Like, what is it all about in the first place? Now, the second thing to remember is, or to acknowledge, is the fact that we all use comparison. We compare ourselves to, I saw a lot of weight loss in the chat, to, like, a lot of times, and this is just from my own professional experience, if somebody is telling me that they're seeking weight loss, most of the time what they're seeking was a version of themselves that they used to be, right? When I was, before I had my first child, when I was in my 20s, before I got to college, when I played, like soccer in college, right? That's, that's when I was in the best shape of my life. Okay, so we compare ourselves to who we used to be, and we also compare ourselves to other people.
I want to do a little experiment with you really quick.
With me?
Yeah, but I'm trying to find the perfect. Okay. I want to know, what do you think when you see this? I'll show you guys. Don't worry.
Okay, hold on.
Like unfiltered thoughts that go through your mind. I'm going to turn the volume on too. And nothing is right or wrong, by the way. They're just thoughts. Okay.
Oh, sick. Yes.
Are you thinking anything about yourself?
About myself? No.
I'm like, dude, I want shoulders like that. Yeah, I'm going to show you guys. Hold on. I'm going to show you guys. She's so shredded. Okay, I chose her because her physique is really awesome. And also, there was one day I was walking my dog that looks like hers, and I had my hood up, and somebody mistook me for her, and it was amazing. But I look and I'm like, I'm inspired. I'm not like, I don't have, man, I'm soft. I'm weak. I'm little. We have a choice. When we see something, usually when we're upset that we're not in a place where we want to be, is because we're upset or frustrated or sad, or we feel some kind of emotion that we associate with negative, like a negative feeling. When we see somebody who we aspire to be similar to, you'll never be them because you're you. But the only reason we feel defeated is because when we see it, we make a choice to be defeated by somebody else being in a really great place versus saying, well, shit, if that person can do it, why can't I? So can I. And I think the thing that we mistake often about what our comparisons that we make, if it defeats us. So there's two choices. You can use it in a way where it will destroy you. You can use it in a way where it makes you more productive. Okay. Productive, destructive. That's the choice. So when you see somebody and you start to feel a negative thing about yourself, you're judging yourself for why you're not where they are. You also don't know their story. You also don't know what they've been through, what they did, how long they've been doing it, who they're connected to. You don't know these things. You don't know the amount of effort maybe that they had to put into something to get where they are. You don't know the amount of hours of their entire day or week that they dedicate to an effort. So we'll talk specifically about our bodies. People will start CrossFit and think that CrossFit is like what they see on ESPN, like the ultimate, right? And not understanding that if you want a body like somebody who does a sport like that, it's also important to understand what they have to do and the exchange that's made. So I'm going on a tangent.
And it's not just about CrossFit. It's whenever you see somebody you're inspired by.
Right. But there's always an exchange for greatness. Period. Like bottom line, end of story. There is a deep exchange. there's a price to be paid for excellence.
Yeah.
It's discipline. It's saying no to fun events that everybody else is at. Oftentimes, sometimes it's not having a life. There's a trade-off.
That, also criticism when you're on the come up. Like when you see somebody like where she's at. This is Dana Lynn Bailey, by the way. You see like the tip of the iceberg.
Totally.
You are not seeing the come up. Like, yes, her and her husband Rob, like they're a badass couple. You're seeing her with a completely supportive environment because she has created that.
Yeah.
On her come up, you do not see what she went through. Whenever you see anybody that you look up to, you're seeing the byproduct of the come up.
Yeah.
And, we tend to look at a video or we tend to look at a photo and we think that person just kind of like fell into that.
It's super out of context. Like our comparison is very out of context.
Right. And, because of that, so I actually wrote something down that I want to share with you. I believe that our response to comparison, because when you're seeing a photo about somebody and your response to it, like your original response is actually a mirror of how you look at yourself.
Let's see if we can think about some examples.
So for example, if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so bummed. I'm in this journey for 3 months and I only lost like 5 pounds. And this person who started next to me lost 15 pounds and I'm bummed. Right? Like, so the measurement, the 5 and the 15, it's like the turkey, right?
It's a measurement.
It's a measurement. So like it's all logic. There is no emotion. However, you are feeling a certain feeling because you're feeling like you are less successful, you're more behind, you're whatever. This has nothing to do with the data. This has everything to do with how you view yourself.
It just that visual that you came across reminded you of how you think about yourself.
Yeah.
And what you think about, you act on, and what you act on yields results, good or bad.
Yeah.
And those results over a long period of time determine what your overall life looks like.
Yeah. So destructive comparison is taking data and becoming emotional about that data. Rather, we've all been there. Rather than, like making a decision based on it. Also, destructive comparison has to do with what is it that we're not realizing or what is it that we're not yet aware of ourselves about.
I'm coming to you guys in the chat.
So I'm sharing with you guys, like from my own self experience, like, when I used to beat myself up through comparison is because what I was struggling with is low self-worth, right? So I'm using the comparison as a justification for how I really like feel about myself, or lack of self-confidence, right? It's almost like a justification for your subconscious feelings that you might not even be aware of. And, when it comes to using comparison to our power is number one, using it as a reminder that this is just data and data is logic. Data is not there to create emotion. So remembering that we have a choice. Are we going to, utilize it as a way of, okay, data, if, my progress is slower, how consistent have I really been? What is it that perhaps I am not aware of that I need to be aware of, right? Like becoming more aware, asking quality questions, getting the support that you need, getting the accountability that you need to help you see things that you do not see. You guys, we do not see what we do not yet see. This is the value of mentorship. Comparison in a productive manner is also a measuring stick of what do we aspire to be. I'll give you an example. Like our mentors are a measuring stick for us. We're very particular with who we choose as a mentor.
Like there's a reason why you're inspired by something or
Yes.
somebody.
Right.
There's a really good point brought up that I think we should go down the rabbit hole on, because I think it's true. I really agree with it. I'm going to put it up here. Thank you, Lori. I think it's easier to be inspired when you already have the confidence to travel that road. 100%. I agree. I personally agree. Because, however, if both Suri and I were at a place where we were not confident by any stretch of imagination, how were we able to get confident? So, though it's harder, it's not impossible. And it's only harder because our current thought habits are what hold us back from reaching for inspiration rather than destruction. So current thought habits. So if you think about your thoughts, just like a physical habit, just like when you wake up in the morning, what's the very first thing that you can think of right now that you do? Like, think about it. What is the first thing that you do? What's the first thing that you do when you wake up? Very first thing, like feet hit the floor. What happens next?
I think about the plunge that I'm about to get in.
Oh, okay. So
and I prepare myself for it.
So very first thing that happens for me is I start chugging water. I start chugging water because if I don't start in the beginning of the day, I get overwhelmed with finishing it in the rest of the day. But I had to think about it. Why? Because it's a habit for me. It's just the first thing that I do. I don't think about it. It's a habit. I just do it. When you get in your car, what's the first thing that you do? What's the first thing you do when you get in a car? Look at your phone.
As a passenger?
Look at your phone.
Or as a driver?
As a driver. First thing that you do, door closes. Then
no, actually, the first thing that I do is I check the mirrors, and I'll tell you why. Because I barely drive.
You put the key in the ignition first, or you check the mirrors first?
Probably put the key in the ignition first.
Oh, okay.
And then I check the mirrors.
Oops, I want to take that. I'll leave that up there. Okay, so seatbelt. Lock in belt seat. Back seat. Look in the back seat. Oh, wonder what the story is behind that. Okay, so it's a habit, right? It's habitual. You do it without thinking about it. Then, if the way that we think and we have habits there are thoughts you think without thinking about you're having the thoughts. Let me say that again. There are thought patterns that you have where you automatically, habitually think a certain way without thinking that you're thinking that way, without recognizing it. So it's a habit. When I see somebody or something that I can either be defeated by because of the comparison, or I can be inspired by because of the comparison, it's a habit you get to create. So at that point, we take the confidence level out and we say, I just get to create a new thought habit. What are you looking for? Are you lost? She said, I need a compass to get around. She told me today, hello, where are you? I need a compass. So anywho, we have an opportunity to create a new thought habit and a new pattern. It's the same thing with, I think one of the greatest things that I've ever done in my life is create the habit of getting into a positive state as soon as humanly possible when I'm feeling like I'm in a negative state.
Happened to me this morning.
Yeah, like the awareness or the acknowledgement of like, oh, I'm not feeling a good way triggers me to say, okay, what is it? What happened? Where am I at? Do I get to feel this and like puke out whatever I'm thinking for a minute and then get over it? Or am I just being poopy?
Yeah.
And then let me change it because that's my choice. So it's really about creating that habit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the other thing that I want to add with regards to productive comparison is the most productive thing, I believe, actually, it's all about your state of mind when you're comparing yourself. It's all about your state of mind. It's important that you compare yourself to who you used to be yesterday, ensuring that you are becoming better every single day.
Even that can be destructive though, if you have the wrong thought habit.
Yes. And that's why as I was running algorithms in my mind, I'm like, actually the most important thing is your state of mind, because it can all become destructive, right? Measuring yourself with regards to your potential, and your potential is what has been done by another person, because that's all we've seen yet.
Hold on. So I want to play devil's advocate on that. I think this is a good discussion.
Okay.
Because I could compare myself to when I was a regional level CrossFit athlete. And in the world of fitness, I'm not as good now as I was then. I could also be defeated by that.
Yes, it's all about your state of mind though.
So, but you're right. But if we're looking at the big picture and what my priorities are now versus my priorities then I have context, right? I have, it's my Hebrew flashcards. Then I have context because I have a bigger picture. But if I'm only looking at fitness, so how many people do we meet and they're like, wow, I used to have the discipline you have, or I used to do this, I used to do that, I wish I was that. I would like to know from you too, like, I know that I've talked to women before on the phone and they're like, I'm just going to say it the way that I've heard it, where they're like, man, I thought I was fat then. I wish that I would do anything to get back there. Right. So even that comparison too, but it does have to do with your state of mind.
It has to do with your state of mind. And there is nothing wrong with shifting back in one area of your potential.
True.
It's just a matter of, is it intentional? Like, yes, for you, being an athlete is not your highest priority anymore, right? So it is intentional. Now, of course, if it was, I could see why you would beat yourself up about it. But and then it's a matter of how are we allocating our resources? Because you're not allocating, like your resources towards that like you used to.
But it still comes back to the same thing, whether or not that is my number one priority or not, I still get to choose the thought that I have about the comparison.
Of course. And by the end of the day, that is like the biggest thing to acknowledge with regards to that, your state of mind. I mean, we see top athletes do that all the time and get themselves to like severe depression.
Or they're inspired and they smash it.
Right. It's all about your state of mind, and you have the choice to flip it.
There was an NFL announcer one time who was talking about a football player. There was like during football season, there was a game happening, and I was just listening in the background, I think somewhere, and I heard him say something about like this quarterback. I can't tell you even what team it is, but he like threw this wildly long pass. I don't know how many yards, but forever yards. And they said he used to be literally one of the weakest, like long distance passers. And he took that hole and he just worked on it, and became one of the best at that thing that used to be his worst. But, it really just, at the end of the day, what it comes down to is how do you choose to think about it? Period. It's a perspective, right?
Mhm.
Oh, jean shorts, jorts.
So with regards to, like measuring sticks, comparing yourself to who you were yesterday, who you are with regards to your potential, and where are you at in relation to somebody that you inspire or aspire to be like. Something that I can tell you with regards to inspiration from somebody you want to be like is when using accurate thinking, continue making sure that the measuring stick is that they're farther ahead down the road than you, because that's what makes it inspiring.
Juan is here.
That's awesome.
This is our CrossFit friend, Juan. He kicked my ass today in the workout. Good job, Juan.
And there was something else I wanted to talk about with regards to comparison. And I completely forgot what that was.
I mean, it's a good opportunity for everybody to say hi to the token male in the house.
Yes.
He told you he was here the other day. He's like, I didn't say anything because
He just responded. LOL.
This dude did 126 pull-ups in 15 minutes, y'all.
That's awesome. So, how have you been using comparison? Have you been using it in a destructive manner, or have you been using it in a constructive manner? And based on what we talked about today, what choice are you making based on that? Remember, by the end of the day, a measuring stick is literally just data. Data is feedback, which means that it is logical, not emotional. Your state of mind gets to determine whether you're going to flip it to the positive side and use that data in a way to propel you forward, or use that piece of data as basically a mirror of your current state of mind. And the other thing that I want to share with you too is I encourage you to cultivate the habit of celebrating other people for their success.
That is so good.
Because
say it again, louder for the people in the back.
Cultivate the habit of celebrating other people for their success. I can tell you from my own experience that, when
genuinely too, genuinely.
Yeah. When you are, in a compromised state of mind, you are using destructive comparison. And, let's say both you and another person, started your journey at a similar time, and, they're like, they lost 20 pounds ahead of you. it is very natural to, again, using that mirror to think to ourselves about everything that we're not. And, like get into this mood of just, I don't know, anger, frustration, whatever that could be for you. Or you can recognize that and make the choice of, oh, okay, they've achieved this much. Let me celebrate them. What this is going to do is that it's going to help you to cultivate a more positive state of mind. And by default, that is going to help you to become more successful in whatever endeavor you're up to. Celebrating other people's success, even if in the moment it could sting for you. I'll tell you, the greatest competitors and the greatest athletes are the ones who like genuinely happy who feel genuinely happy about somebody else's success. When you compete at a really high level, winning is everything to you. And when you can genuinely be happy for somebody else's success, that takes a really strong person with a really great attitude. And I believe that that's admirable.
I really want to say something.
Okay.
Because, and I'm glad that you brought up when you are like a highly competitive or you're in a competitive sport or something like that. To be genuinely happy for somebody else, for any woo-woos in the house, like it also tells the universe or God or whatever higher power you believe in, if you do, that I appreciate success.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate success. When you're upset with success or something great, you're also telling that same power, I don't appreciate greatness. I don't appreciate success. So you will never get any.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, it is also okay. Can I say something bold? Is everybody okay if I say something bold and potentially controversial? Fantastic. It is okay to have a competitive spirit. It is okay to want to win. It is good.
Yes.
If there was no competition, we would not have access to the technology we have. We would not have access to cars. We would not have access to anything you can think of improving if there were no such thing as competition. And this is the bold statement. Our society is weak.
Yes.
Weak, weak, weak. When I was in sports, there were no participation trophies. There was a trophy for first place, second place, third place. The rest of you get a ribbon of the week, like I signed up for this thing. You have to win to get the reward. When you play basketball, you watch the NBA. The team that scores the most points wins. When you watch football, the team that scores the most points, it doesn't matter how close the other team is. 1 point, it doesn't matter. You lost. You lost. And if somebody weren't better than you, what do you have to try for? Because the truth is that comparison is competitive.
Mm-hmm.
That comparison is, I have something to strive for. If you were the only person that existed on this planet and nobody else, just literally you, which I don't think is really possible because I really believe we need each other, you wouldn't know any different except for what you are and what you do. But if somebody else is doing something that you see, you perceive to be greater than what you're doing, you can go hide in a shell, crawl under a rock, or you can be like, oh shit. Like today, okay, Juan is here and I love it. So Juan is somebody at the gym that Juan and Herman, that I often look at for where they're at in the workout. And I am trying to fucking beat them. I'm not torn apart, or my whole day is not ruined if I don't. And I'm genuinely excited for how good they did or how hard they tried. But all it is a push.
Mm-hmm.
It's a push to be better. It's somebody to help raise my own personal standard. If somebody's better than me, doing something more than me, greater than me, more excellent than me, it's a standard that I can say, shoot, like I want to try to reach that standard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's okay to be competitive. It's totally okay to be competitive. And as an athlete, like if you are in the championship game, or if you're in the Super Bowl, you're fucking pissed when you lose at first.
Yeah,
at first,
because winning is everything.
Because
nobody goes to the Super Bowl to lose.
Because you put your heart and soul into it. You practice, you so many hours, sweat, blood, tears, everything. Your entire being went into that, and you lost. That hurts. But if you didn't have any pain, you would never have any influence to be better. Think about it. Anybody who comes into our community, anybody who signs up for the Inner Circle, anybody who signs up for the Rock and Body Transformation Program, anybody who signs up for any of our coaching programs, they are in a deep pain. Why? Because they are not meeting a standard and they feel like shit about it. That's good. It's okay. Mm-hmm. It's just part of life. And guess what? When your standard raises and you don't meet that, you feel the same way, even though you're better than you were, because there's always a next level. There's always a next level. And part of fulfillment in life is striving for the next level.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, it's easy to just get caught up in the mundane and going through the motions. And then you find yourself like, what am I here for? I hope that was inspiring.
And there's one more thing that I want to add to, and this is the value of mentorship and coaching. I want to use the analogy of, the Super Bowl or a game or something. You guys, the truth is that the difference between success and failure is a silver lining. It could be like 1 degree to the right, 1 degree to the left. It could be 1 point. It could be, you could be doing all the right things in the world, but it could be one thing that is missing that one side will take you to road to success. The other one will take you to the road to failure. And, this is the value of using productive comparison to seek help from others who have been there, so that you can identify what that missing thing is sooner rather than later. The most costly resource is time, because a minute that is gone by is not going to come back. And the difference between tipping over to success, tipping over to failure is so thin. It is so slight. Sometimes it's just that one thing. And, like the higher you go, that normally is all it is. It's just that one thing. At the beginning, it's probably a lot of things. And then it's less things. And then it could come down to that one thing.
You know what I told Juan today?
What?
I did this twice to Juan, actually. This is funny. Okay, so there was one workout and I want to make people better. And I also don't want an easy win, because an easy win feels like poo-poo. Feels like duty, right? Like when somebody just hands it to you, you're like, thanks, but I really didn't earn it. So I make it hard for myself. So here's what I do to Juan. One day there was a workout we were doing running.
One day.
Look at you making jokes. We were doing a workout that was goblet squats, running, and kettlebell swings.
Mhm.
And he kept getting ahead of me further and further and further every round. And then on the last, we were running out of time. And I was like, I'm going to catch him. I'm just going to run as fast as I can. And I wanted to get as close to him as I could before he turned around, because I knew when he turned around, he would see me and be like, oh shit, she's really close. And then he would run faster. And then I would have to run faster, and it was going to be harder. But as we were running back, we were both literally everything we had. I was trying to catch him. He was trying to not let me catch him. And I was like, I'm going to get you, because I wanted him to run faster. And today I told him what my reps were, because it was rounds. So on the first round, I was like, I got 19. You better beat me.
Oh, I heard that.
I was like, I got 19. You better beat me. Like, I don't want to hide my score and be like, oh, I hope he just doesn't beat me. Like, I wanted to tell him, because I was like, I want him to beat me, because then I have to keep pushing harder. Anything given to you in life easy isn't worth it.
Truth. The best things in life take a long time. We heard TD Jakes just preach about that.
Mm-hmm. True.
The best things in life take a long time. You know, like a happy family, a happy marriage. Easy to get married. Having a happy marriage, it's a different conversation. 60% of Americans get a divorce within the first 5 years. Okay, like fulfilling life, a healthy body.
Can I say what I think would solve marriages?
Yeah.
Like 50% of the 50%.
I know what it is.
It's two things. For one, be authentically you when you get into the relationship to begin with, because then you never have to pretend to be somebody else. For two, learn how to communicate without taking things personally.
Yeah. Thing number one, though, become self-aware, so you know what does taking things personally look like in the first place. This is the power of self-development. Like, because if you're only communicating from a sense of self rather than we, then it's always going to be about you. That's the difference between me leadership and we leadership. It's a state of mind.
So on this video of comparison,
We've
talked about marriage, communication, competition, winning, comparison, thought habits. Wonderful tangents.
Thank you guys for joining us today. We've been here for almost an hour. Hey, by the way, like we've said before, we're on a mission to transform the lives of millions through the same movement, nutrition, and lifestyle habits that have transformed ours. And if you find yourself watching this video and you're like,
I'm stuck.
Man, I'm stuck, or, you know, like, I feel like I've been doing all the right things. What is that one thing that is missing? Or what are those few things that are missing for me? Maybe it's not even you. Maybe it's something around you that you're not even aware of. Just go ahead and drop coach me, so that we'll be able to help you through that. And anything else you want to add?
I think that's it.
Okay.
I just want you to know that you are amazing simply because you are a human being. You are at the top of the food chain. Act like it.
That's right.
With love. So, anywho, tomorrow's Flex Friday. So I want to see all your flexes in the Facebook group, like you do so well every single week. And we're going to finish the week stronger than we started it, right? Because that's what winners do.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye, guys.